Thank goodness that Fox News did, in fact, cover what was going on in Nevada. It was fairly scant coverage. There was not a lot of the background story, but at least Fox covered it. And I know that many of us in the media world, many of us in Judeo-Christian activist circles are very thankful for Fox News, and I continue to be one of them. Now, we're going to show you some footage in a second, but I want to go quickly over the facts. For those of you who are saying, Rand, I don't even know what Randall is going on here. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me go over briefly some of the facts that we know to be true. Cliven Bundy is a rancher in Nevada, in the southwest portion or southeast portion of the state in Clark County, which does incorporate Las Vegas, by the way. He and his family have been ranching in that area for well over 140 years. They have cattle that are on public lands. And the Bureau of Land Management grants leases to people, $1 and change per calf and mom, or cow-calf combination. The fees vary from place to place. And by the way, the Bureau of Land Management controls about 245 million acres where they can grant these licenses, these permits for people to graze their cattle or for timber or for mining. This is a very, very powerful bureaucracy when it comes to our resources. And they control about, 700 million acres below the surface. So, the Bureau of Land Management said in 1993 that there was a tortoise out there that was in danger and that Cliven Bundy needed to get his cows off the land. Now this is not, by the way, this tortoise is not actually an endangered species. It's, I believe, listed as vulnerable. So much so that the Bureau of Land Management actually euthanized, according to one press report, euthanized a bunch of these tortoises recently. So this is just bizarre. So his family had been there since the 1870s. At some point along the way, these state lands were taken by the federal government. And then the federal government said, you're not going to pay your grazing fees to local government or to county government, which Cliven Bundy says, I'll do. And he's gone to the county and said, here's a check. I'll happily pay the grazing fees to you, but the federal government is not my landlord. It's unconstitutional. This is a federal government land grab. So he's been consistent in what he said, and it's not that he's opposed to paying this fee for grazing on public lands. The county, of course, says, no, we can't take it. We won't take it. And there have been court orders, a couple of them at least, for him to get his cattle off the property. He says, no, my family's been here since the 1870s. I don't even acknowledge you as my landlord. We have ongoing rights to use this property by virtue of the fact that we have been here longer than you and that our family has helped improve this property. And then the federal government says, all right, we've had it. We're coming in. Many reports have said with 200 federal agents, rangers, cowboys to herd up the cattle. They were using helicopters to fly over the cattle to drive them. Now, for those of you who come from a ranching background, you know that this can be really dangerous for cows. I mean, it's 90 degrees out there, and you've got calves and cows running through this desert heat, which could have caused the loss of the life of some of the cows. So this was bizarre. Again, one report said that an agent who did name himself from the Bureau of Land Management said that they only do about 4 cattle roundups a year because of somebody not paying their fees, and it only usually involves a few dozen head. This was 900 head of cattle, okay? They spent $3 million to ultimately pull the plug and say, this is a bad idea, we're not going to do it. So what in the world is going on here? What in the world would possess the federal government, the Bureau of Land Management, to go and pull this off? We're going to talk about it, but just think for a minute. They don't deal with illegal immigrants. They don't use the resources to round up illegal immigrants, but they're going to use them to round up cattle? $3 million? I smell a rat. I want to play this clip for you showing the federal government leaving.
I keep ending up on that horse's signal. Go back to Washington! Go back to China! Come back! Yeah, don't turn your back on us, you big boys with those big guns, aren't you? Oh, you're so tough, and you're so afraid. Look at that. What a bunch of bullies! Oh, wow. Yeah. You got control back where we're off.
So you can see this was really tense. There could have been the loss of life. When you have federal agents lined up behind each other in military style with a shield in front of them, training their guns on civilians, they were ready to fire, whether in self-defense or as the provocateurs. Clearly, I think that the agents would have kept their cool until someone on the other side fired first. Thankfully, all of the protesters and the members of the militia and the local supporters all kept their heads and didn't fire. But friends, that could have been a disaster. When we come back again, we're going to look at Ruby Ridge, we're going to look at Waco, the differences here, and what this is all about for us as Americans. Don't go away. This is the voice of resistance.